Hello. Welcome to Financial Insider Weekly. I'm your host, Michael Gray, CPA. My guest today is Alan Nobler. Alan is an attorney who's located in San Jose, California, and he received his bachelor's degree from San Jose State University and his law degree from Santa Clara University School of Law. From 1969 to 1999, Alan litigated family law, business, real estate, and personal injury cases. He became a certified family law specialist in 1980, and since 1999, his practice has been limited to mediation and collaborative cases, working primarily resolving disputes between family members, maybe among family members. Alan has trained professionals in mediation and collaborative practice and has made presentations to many professional organizations, including the Santa Clara County Bar Association and the State Bar of California. Today, Alan and I are going to talk about how a collaborative practice team can help preserve your legacy by keeping peace in your family when handling an estate. Alan, thank you for joining me today.
Thanks for having me, Mike.
Okay. Folks, as usual, although this isn't quite as technical a discussion, but the idea is that what we're trying to do is encourage you to look into this collaborative alternative in your family situations, especially if you've got conflicts and so forth. And so, in other words, this is just the beginning of a conversation, again, that should be going on with you and with other professionals. And now we're saying a team, so I guess I won't just say your attorney. Okay, well, Alan, so fill us in. What is collaborative practice? How can it help keep peace in a family when handling an estate?
Well, thanks, Mike. There's a variety of pieces that go into that particular question.
Okay.
And first, we started talking about a legacy rather than just an estate. People think of an estate as the property that's going to be passed from one person to another.
Yeah.
But our legacy goes beyond that, I think. It goes to the memories and the impressions of somebody. So when we talk about a president leaving, it's what's his legacy going to be? When we think back to our parents and grandparents, what are our memories of them? Is it that I got Grandpa's watch? Is it that I got this from my grandmother? Or is it that we had a great relationship? So what we talk about when we're putting together a team to handle an estate, or whether it's a divorce or a death, however it is, we're talking about the whole package of things that gets handed down from one generation to another.
Okay.
Well,
so now though we're talking about collaborative practice, so what does that mean, and
well,
how does it relate to this issue of handling a situation like this?
Well, people think about their estates and who's going to get what. And frequently, for instance, I heard one of your other guests talking about how in planning, a testator, trustor, the person with the estate may think, I'm just going to do what I think I want to do with this, and that's certainly their right, without giving a thought to how the rest of the family or the people receiving the property are going to react. So what does that do? If those people have different concepts as to what grandpa or dad or mom should have done with it, and they had no idea what was actually in the will or the trust, they may react differently than the testator or trustor might have wanted. And that's when the legacy doesn't come across as well as the testator would have wanted.
And of course, they're not going to be there to see what happened, but now everybody else has to deal with picking up the pieces, trying to preserve relationships, and so forth. So how does a collaborative team fit in with this?
Well, there are two stages that the collaborative team can get involved. First is, of course, pre-mortem, when somebody's getting ready to create their estate plan, they're going to say, well, you know, I've got my family business, or I've got my antique car, and everybody's fighting over the antique car. They don't want to sit down and talk to everybody about it because that's uncomfortable. And they may say, I'm just fine leaving it for them to sort out after I'm gone.
Okay.
And, you know, without really thinking about what the consequences of that are, how family relationships can be destroyed. And what we do with the team is assuming that whomever they're going to is comfortable with this discussion, is saying, okay, Mike, you've got that great Mustang convertible, shall we say, or a Ferrari or whatever it is, and you want that to be done this way. Now, you know, both of your kids are going to fight over that. How would you like to see that resolved? Would you like to see them spending their money and the money from your estate fighting over it? Or, you know, you've got your business and you've got these investments. How would you like to see them spend the assets from your estate? Enjoying their lives as a result of the fruit of your labor, or spending it on other attorneys fighting over who should be entitled to whatever it is they think they should be entitled to?
Okay.
So we bring in the team, and we have people that are specially trained handling these kinds of issues. For instance, I don't do estate planning, but I get involved in the conflict. And I have people that I work with, a financial planner, communications coaches, that can help people understand better what it is they're dealing with and how it affects the others, how they want to see their memory preserved through the eyes of their family and loved ones that are getting their estates.
Okay. How is this collaborative practice related to mediation?
Well, it's different, but it's part of it. Many of the same skills that somebody who's well-trained in mediation has will translate directly to our work in collaboration. It's more of a team mediation, if you will, because if you're doing facilitative work, listening for and understanding what's going on with somebody, that's the key to both. It's unlike arbitration, of course, where the arbitrator gets to say, I'm going to listen to your story and then I'm going to make a decision, the same as a judge will.
Yeah,
it's just out of court.
Yeah.
But both of them are private, but in collaboration, you're involving other members as part of it to create different perspective, both for yourself, being in the middle of it, but also the parties. If you have 2, 3, 4 members of a family vying for particular assets, you know, I know Grandpa wanted me to have that car. I just know it because he always said so. Well, it doesn't say so in the document. What are we going to do?
Did your grandpa leave you a car? Well, anyway, all right. So how did you get started in this area?
Well, I'd come to realize that in litigating cases, they never quite seemed to be finished. Somebody always felt that they'd been taken advantage of, or the judge messed up, or something was wrong, and they want to change the facts and come back for another bite of the apple. But I found that, so a group of friends and I were working, understanding the dynamics with people. There's a movement that started out in Minnesota. It grew in the San Francisco Bay Area, and we were training ourselves in what was going on. So we hired people who had been training mediators and whatever. But I found that when people solve their own situation, when they figure out how to resolve their own difficulties, they stay solved, and they've learned new methods. So since I've been doing this, people haven't been coming back for that second and third and fourth bite of the apple, And they seemed to be satisfied. So that made me feel better about it, and I could no longer continue to do litigation.
Okay. So what kind of training is required for people who facilitate this process?
Generally, it starts with a significant mediation course.
Mm-hmm.
There's a variety of 36 to 40-hour mediation courses that people can take in the Bay Area. And then after you finish that, you're going to want to have some specific collaborative practice training where you learn better how the team works and how to work together. For instance, if you and I were attorneys on the other side of a case,
mm-hmm.
We're trained in law school to fight,
right,
to not give, to not cooperate in solving a problem.
Mm-hmm.
We're trained to treat a dispute as something to be won or lost,
right,
as opposed to being simply a problem that needs to be solved between people.
mm-hmm.
And there's a real paradigm shift that you have to work with in order to get to that place, and having the team around make sure that you stay on the rails.
Yeah, okay. So what does a collaborative practice team look like?
Well, as I said, we would have a communications coach or two,
mm-hmm.
depending on the number of people, the type of problem that we're working with,
mm-hmm.
so that in a particularly hotly contested situation, very volatile at the outset, for instance, you and I have a problem, we might each have a coach to help us talk about the language that we use when we discuss the problem,
mm-hmm.
and make sure that what we're talking about really deals with the interest that we have. What is our long-term interest? Helps us sort through that. Mm-hmm. Is it my interest to have that car now, or is it in my interest to still have a relationship with my brother?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
You know, do I want to risk my brother ramming his old truck into my antique car, or what?
I've actually seen something like that, but anyway, it's scary.
Yes. There's lots of those on YouTube.
Okay. So now we're talking about, again, what these collaborative practice teams look like. How does a lawyer fit in as compared to how a lawyer usually operates?
Well, in traditional advocacy, I mean, we all watch television, and you've got these legal dramas, and they're mm-hmm. sneaking away with this piece of evidence, or they're playing those games. The advocacy in a collaborative case is, what is it that's really important to you? What is it that's really important to me? Understanding that. If I'm your lawyer, I have to understand what's really important to you, other than just getting that car or being able to run the business. And making sure that you don't lose sight of that mm-hmm. because of what's gone on between you and your brother or whomever. Mm-hmm. So it's getting you ready when we sit down to negotiate to be able to voice what it is that's going on for you, and understand that you're not going to have a lasting resolution of a conflict unless the other person gets what they need as well. If they get what they need, you'll get what you need.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Okay. All right. Well, I won't say it's a cast of thousands, but we're talking about, it's not just an attorney and an attorney here. Now we're getting other professionals involved. You talk about financial planners. Maybe there'll even be a CPA involved, and so forth.
We have a number of CPAs that are trained in this process and come in.
Okay.
Absolutely.
Okay.